Okay, for pfSense, we're gonna have to first download the CD installer. So open up your browser, go to the pfSense website. Under the download tab, choose a version. This is the latest version. It's 2.4.2, and then the architecture. For VirtualBox, I'm going to use the AMD 64-bit architecture, and the installer, I'm going to use CD image because that's much better. And the mirror that I need to download this from, Singapore is closer to where I am, so I'm in Australia. I'm going to choose that, and then I'm going to download. And here you see the SHA-256 checksum hash code, just to make sure that what you downloaded, the data integrity of the file is intact. So this is it. Since I've already downloaded it, I'm not gonna download the image now. One thing I need to tell you, uh, the next version, which would be the 2.5, there is a requirement for that version that you need to have the AES-NI component in your CPU processor for it to work. And and you need to make sure that the virtual machine that you're going to assign and run this pfSense on has to have that virtual component. But since this is a previous version than that, this is the most recent one. It's not 2.5, it's 2.4, so it will work without that component, the AES-NI. So that, okay, we'll just close this one. And since I've already downloaded it, you know what? I did forget to check the checksum on that. 0.4 AMD select CD image. There you go. I'm gonna keep that open because I want to compare the hash code, and then I'm gonna run hash calculator, and then I'm gonna go and search for the file. Here it is, and then I'm gonna calculate and compare it to this. And what was it? SHA-256? Oh wait, I forgot. Cancel. This isn't the file. It's actually, yeah, this is it. The zipped archive is the one that we need to calculate the hash, not um, the CD image. So, and yes, that's that. That is the one. Okay. Yep, that's good. I'm gonna close this, close the hash shell, and then I'm gonna create a new machine since I'm using uh, pfSense, and pfSense is based on FreeBSD. I'm gonna click select BSD, and it's 64-bit, so I'm gonna click on 64-bit BSD, and then I'm gonna call this machine. Let's just say PS for pfSense. On next, and I think this is more than enough. 1 GB of RAM. So I'm gonna click on next, create a virtual hard drive, choose VirtualBox disk image. I'm gonna do fixed. And since this is pfSense, the requirement for the hard drive space capacity isn't that much. So we could easily run this on a 2 GB or a 1 GB data. So I'm going to use 2 instead of 1. So create the hard drive. And then it's done. And then we're going to go under settings and change some settings here. System, don't need floppy. I'm gonna get rid of this. Uh, Processor, let's just allot all 4 cores. Display is gonna be same. Controller, VDE, and we're gonna mount the CD image on here. Use optical, pfSense folder. Here it is. Audio, no need for an audio, so I'm gonna disable this. Network. Now, the minimum requirement for pfSense to work is 2 network adapters. One is going to be assigned as your WAN, and the other one is going to be assigned as your LAN. So the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it at NAT because we don't really have to, you know, connect it to the internet via bridge adapter or anything else. So we're going to click on that. And since it's a Unix system, a FreeBSD system, Paravirtualized Network adapter is a native, so we won't need to install any drivers for this, so it's native. So I'm going to click that. And this is the MAC address is going to be assigned. And the second adapter that we're going to use as a LAN, we're going to set that as an internal network. Now you would remember that I set this on our Linux machine as LAN, and we're gonna assign the same internal network to this pfSense LAN side of the router. And since it's a Unix system, we're gonna use the word IO adapter, and that's about it. And we could add another one, an internal network, and then call this a DMZ. We're going to use this as a demilitarized zone interface for on the router, and then everything seems to be okay. Click on OK, and then start the machine. Okay, so now the pfSense installer is started, and this is just a copyright and distribution notice. We're just going to click on accept, and I'm going to install pfSense. Select the default keyboard layout, which is US, and then partitioning of the hard drive, I'm just gonna leave it at auto, and then select guided disk setup. And no, I don't want to open a shell make any manual modifications, so I'm gonna select no, and then I'm gonna click on reboot. It's done. It's gonna shut down and reboot, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna close this, so I don't want to reboot it, and so I can take off the CD image on there. So I'm gonna go back to PS, settings, storage, and take out the CD image because we don't need this anymore. It's been installed. On OK, and then one more thing I need to forgot. I'll just take the optical drive out of the boot order, disable it, and then click on start. And while this is happening, what I'll do is I'll start the Linux Mint client machine as well, because we're going to need that to do some administration of this router via the web browser. Minimize this. Okay, so we've started and it's detected 3 network interfaces, and it's asking me, do I want to set up VLANs? No, not yet. Okay, now it wants to assign the WAN interface to one of these devices, network adapters. So I don't know which one is which. I forgot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the Oracle VirtualBox Manager. I'm going to click on Settings. I'm going to go to Network. I'm going to see the MAC address, and I'm going to compare to that for the WAN. And it ends with 16. Okay. Which one is the 16? The VTNet 0. Okay, that's the one. Okay, I'm going to type in VTNet 0. Now for the LAN interface. I don't know which one of these two, because not necessarily it will detect the NIC cards as in the same order that I have assigned the virtual machine. So we gotta make sure that we got the NIC cards right. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna click on the adapter 2, and then it ends with a 88C. Okay, 88C. Okay, that's the LAN. We're gonna assign that to the LAN interface. So it's VT net 1. Okay. Now here's an optional interface, the optional one that we're gonna use for as a DMZ. So the only interface left is the VTNet 2. So I'm gonna assign that VTNet 2 to the DMZ, the optional interface. And the interface will be assigned as follows. Yes, I do want to proceed. That's how I want it. Okay. This is the DHCP address, the IP address that was assigned by the DHCP service running on the WAN, and this is my NAT address. And the LAN is the default 192.1.1. So before I do anything, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to the another IP range is 10.99.99.1. So let's click on select set interface IP addresses, which is number 2. I'm going to select number 2 for LAN and enter the new IP address, which is I'm going to go for 10.99.99.1. This is going to be the gateway address for this router, and I'm going to assign 24-bit for the subnet. And I have no upstream gateway address for this, so I'm going to just click enter for now. Do I want to enter the IPv6 address? No, I don't want to use that, so I'm going to just click on enter. Just press enter for none. Do I want to enable the DHC server on this interface, LAN interface? Yeah. Yes. Start address range. Okay. Since I've given it a 24 subnet mask, and I'm gonna use the whole subnet mask, and the .1 has already been used, So I'm gonna do the start. I'm gonna leave the first 10 empty for static mappings. I'm gonna start from there. So starting range would be let's just say 10. Start from there, and the end would be 10.99.99.254. That's what's going to be assigned dynamically in that range. Do you want to revert to HTTP as a web configurator? Yes. What this is asking me is, but you can access the admin, the web configurator address either through HTTPS or HTTP. So I'm gonna enable HTTP and reconfigure assign it to that protocol, revert to that one. Yes. That's gonna do some uh, settings. Here's the address I need to access this router. I'm gonna press OK, enter, and we're done. Now I'm gonna minimize this, and I'm gonna go back to the client machine. So type in my password, log in. Now, here you go. You can see that already the old IP address was assigned. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change this and edit connection IPv6. I'm gonna just ignore. Don't want the IP6 and IPv6. I'll just click on save. Hasn't reassigned. Okay, let's disconnect and then connect again. Should get the new IP address. And it's connected. Let's see the connection. And yes, the first dynamic IP in the range was available number 10, and this is what has been assigned. Okay, click on OK, and open up your web browser, Firefox, and then type in the web address. Here you go. So the default username for the router is admin, and the default password is pfSense. Now when I click on this, it's going to open up a configuration wizard, and we're going to go through the steps. So next, support is available from Netgate. We don't need this, so we're just gonna click on next. Just call this PS, and we're gonna call this domain as lab.com, and we're gonna assign a primary. Override DNS. No, don't override the DNS. I've got a perimeter firewall working on my network, so I'm gonna assign that as a primary DNS server, and that IP address is 10.11.102.1. I think. Let me just go check that out. Just quick. What range am I using? It is 102.1. Okay. 102.1. Okay, click on next. Host name is we'll leave it at default. Time zone is since I'm in Australia. It's Australia, Melbourne. Okay, here we go. Go next. WAN interface, DHCP, yes, enable DHCP. Since I'm within a network on a private, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to disable these two so I can access my internal network from the outside. So next, and IP address is yes, this one. Subnet master 24, yep, that's what we want. Admin password, since we use the default and this is a wizard, first time wizard, we need to assign an ID, a new password. So change that password. Use that. Click next and reload the new settings. Click here to continue onto the pfSense web configurator. Yes. Another copyright disclaimer. Okay, now we have installed this. One thing we need to do is we don't need this, so I'm gonna Netgate service and support widget. I don't need this. I'm gonna turn this off, and let's see if I can get internet access. Open this up. Go to google.com. We should be able to. And yes, we do have internet access. Okay, good. What else do we need to do? Let's go change some things. Go to general setup. The IP address was set up. It's cool. Theme, let's change the theme. Make it more dark beta. Host name only. So we can see the host name of this machine somewhere around here in the menu. Columns, let's create 3 columns. Dashboard column, so we can add more widgets to the dashboard. Your host name on login banner, yeah. Go. I'll just leave it as default. Don't save. And let's go to advanced. To the update manager. These update settings, because on the dashboard, every time you reload the dashboard, it's gonna do an auto update check, and I want to disable that because it's gonna take a lot of time. I want to save this. As you can see, there's already an update available, so I'm not gonna update this now. I'm gonna update this later on. This is the latest base system, the current system that is installed. So we're gonna update this later on. Now we have 3 columns. Just increase the what? Okay, and then log out. And there you have it. We have installed pfSense router. And then I'm going to show you how to install various packages and settings on there as I go along. So, but for now, I'm going to end the pfSense video right here. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to install FreeNAS storage server. As always, if you have any questions or requests on any topic for me to cover on this channel, then leave them under this video in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe by clicking on the subscribe button.